This video has been pretty fun to make. What's up? Dusk here, and today I'm going to bring you a deep dive of the Trapper plus a build plus some gameplay to show off how crazy this build is. Now, I already did a deep dive on the Nightmare, and that turned out really good, but it got a little wordy, and I think it was hard to follow at some points. So we're going to do this one a little bit different, and I'm going to jump right into the graph, and we're just going to kind of, I guess, try to get right to the point here. First, a quick explanation of what you're looking at. Of course, the top here is your timeline. That's pretty obvious. This isn't super important. The timeline is pretty arbitrary. Really, all the lines are arbitrary, but the timeline is probably not as important in this graph as it was for the Nightmares. The line here is obviously for, the start of the end game after the last gen is complete. And the probably most important line is the black line down here, which represents basically just having no power whatsoever. This is 0 power on your killer. The green line represents Trapper's power when he has a trap in his hand, because that lets you mind game or set the trap for your speed boost or, whatever kind of tactic that you can do if you have a trap in your hand that you can't do without it, right? Now let's take a look at the arrows. The arrows are what happens when you set a trap and then get some use out of the trap. Basically, here at the start of the game, when you set your first trap, you both simultaneously lose power and gain power at the same time. But the power you gain is only potential. You don't get to cash in on that power until your trap has affected a survivor in some way that results in you being able to do damage. Whether they stepped in it or avoided it, and then you got an M1 hit as a result. If the trap turns out to be effective, then your power level is here, and the next trap you set will do the exact same thing. If your trap ends up not being effective, after a while your power level will kind of come back up to this level, as long as you make sure to keep a trap in your hand at all times. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't put down your last trap. It just means be really mindful and make sure that, when you get a chance to get a trap back, because without it, you are definitely even weaker down here a little bit. So what's the big takeaway from this graph? Basically, if you spend too much time trapping at any one point in time, you're going to drive your current power level way down. Sure, the potential power level is high, but that's only potential until the traps come into play. So if you set up a bunch of traps and you don't get much use, what you've done is you've just tanked your power level super hard. Realistically, that will only ever pay off if you can just suddenly make all those traps come into play. And if they do, then you'll have a massive power spike. That is what Basement Trapper looks like. Get somebody in the basement, and then you set up a bunch of traps, and they're basically immediately effective because they're making the basement save even harder. So that is a great power spike and an example of how this graph portrays Trapper's power. But what else can we get from this graph? Well, we know that if you put too many traps down, you're going to tank your power. And if they're not going to immediately be effective, because you've got somebody on the hook in the basement, then you need to minimize how many traps you put down at a time and make sure that you kind of normalize back out. This means that Trapper has a cadence. So you're only ever going to want to set 1 to 2 traps at a time, and you need to make sure that those traps are in really good locations. And the best way to make sure that a trap is in a good location is if you have some bait. With Basement Trapper, the bait's pretty obvious. It's the survivor on the hook. Well, what do you have past that? Generators are the obvious next choice. So your cadence on Trapper, if you're not going to go for a big basement play, which, by the way, if you get a chance in any game to go ahead and throw a survivor in the basement and put a couple of traps up, just do that. The Trapper is very powerful with the basement, even if you don't have perks for it. It's just a powerful play. So always do that if you get the chance. But if you're not spec'd for it, it's not a big deal. You can just use a hook on the map. I often use hooks on the map when I'm playing Trapper as well. So the idea is to have a cadence where you're never losing too much power at any one point in time, but your traps are going on priority places, your generators. And then those traps have bait, so they have a much higher chance of being effective. And they don't require you trying to herd the survivors like cats into wherever you've pushed your traps, right? Now, of course, you can still trap a loop if you want to, if it's a really popular loop or you see survivors run to the same loop time and time again. Maybe you put a trap on it, maybe to force them off, maybe to catch them. There's always judgment call stuff that you're going to have to do. Trapper is very complicated in that regard, and depending on which map you play on is going to make him more or less complicated to play. Which, if any of you've played Trapper, you're probably painfully aware of that fact. But this isn't the only reason to have this 1 to 2 trap cadence. The other reason is there aren't always a lot of good spots in one area to trap. And so by having a cadence of only 1 or 2 traps per generator, you only really need 1 or 2 good trap locations, which I'll give you an example of a really good tactic that you should be using a lot. You're patrolling, you come up on a generator, there's a survivor, you chase the generator off, and you look at the escape route that they take. And at some point, you're literally going to put the trap down where their scratch marks were. But you want to make sure that they don't stop and watch you put the trap, because then the trap is going to be useless. And what you want to do is find a blind corner, hopefully, and or like some grass or a fern or something like that, and set the trap on that spot. You don't have to set it next to the generator, just the path that that survivor took from the generator, because they'll probably take it right back to the generator. And if it's around a blind corner, seemingly in the middle of nowhere, the odds of them stepping in the trap are very high. So studying your survivors is going to be a big part of Trapper. And then hopefully through the cadence, you can ramp up your power. And then we want to take perks that work good or that work well with ramping power, but also work well with Trapper's kit. And that's the build we're going to go ahead and look at right now. Let's take a look at a basement trapper build first, just so you have a point of reference. It's basically agitation, iron grasp, and then whatever 2 perks you want here. I did Monstrous Shrine and Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance. This is it. Basement Trapper is really straightforward. Now let's look at the build that we came up with through all the analysis, which I think is really, really, really good. And just like promised, Padded Jaw, which is probably one of Trapper's most powerful add-ons, which is hilarious, right? So why is this so powerful? Well, if you all remember, Save the Best for Last got nerfed so that even a bear trap, like anything that does damage, will eat up a Save the Best for Last token if it hits the obsession. The Padded Jaw does not do damage, and it does not remove Save the Best for Last tokens. So if you can push your obsession into these, you're good to go. But there's more. If you catch the not obsession, anybody else, in the Padded Jaw, they don't take damage. So you have to hit them twice. So you get 2 stacks on Save the Best for Last instead of 1, which is what you normally get. So not only does it not take any stacks off the obsession, but it's going to give you 2 stacks on Trapper, which is pretty insane. But we're not done yet. If you do get your obsession and you're trying to push them into a trap, but you aren't able to, or they get in the way or something like that, then you have Play With Your Food that is going to give you a speed boost. Now, if you hit somebody, then you're going to get a speed boost out of Rapid Brutality. And if you have any Save the Best for Last tokens, then you're going to come out of that Blade Wipe animation even sooner, and you're going to be able to cash in on this movement speed even faster. But what's even better is when you set a trap with, well, any trap whatsoever, you get the speed boost that comes in the Trapper kit, which will stack with the Coffee Grounds, which will stack with Play With Your Food. So talk about fast, bro. Holy crap. And that's with just 1 stack of Play With Your Food. As you get more on this, you get so fast, it's crazy. So what can basically end up happening, or what often does end up happening, is every time you run into the obsession, you get a Play With Your Food token, maybe 2 if you juggle them, and then you turn, run after somebody else with this blazing hot speed, and you basically trade both of those tokens in for 2 hits on a survivor and 2 stacks of Save the Best for Last. So we turn Play With Your Food into a battery for Save the Best for Last, and then Padded Jaw amplifies best for last while, you know, protecting you from the obsession. It's really, really, really good. It's pretty crazy. Now, the other thing that can happen when survivors realize that you're running Save the Best for last, and trust me, they pick up on it pretty much instantly, the obsession loves to try and body block people from getting to the hook, because then you're forced to hit the obsession and thus lose 2 tokens per hit. So they can pretty much guarantee, if they don't mind going down, that they might not only deny a hook, but also eat 4 your Save the Best for Last tokens. And that's where Starstruck comes in. If the obsession tries to body block you, you can one-shot them, only lose 2 tokens, they're still down, and then you'll probably go ahead and get to the hook at that point. So Starstruck makes sure that that nasty obsession can't bully you with body blocks anymore. And it's like you can farm these add-ons pretty much indefinitely. It's a yellow and a common. You'll never, ever, ever run out of these. And if you do, then you can just upgrade to anything that might be more powerful. Fastening tools, iridescent stones. I mean, take your pick. Trapper has a lot of bad add-ons, but he's got a lot of really good ones. So, yeah, looks like I lost internet connection again, but that's fine because we got to cover the build and the add-ons. So let's jump into this awesome gameplay. Ooh, we get to do a trap cadence here. I'm kind of looking forward to this because this is a difficult map for me because I just don't know it all that well. Here seems like a really good spot. Hey, bitch. I know you saw that. Was that the obsession? Sure was. He's gonna disarm those, but what are you gonna do, right? I like the disarm sound it makes. Ooh. We get to trade tokens here, courtesy of this guy. And Rapid Brutality essentially gives us a temporary token. Man, this trapper is so fast. What the block me now. And we're just gonna kick it. I'll trap that. They'll disarm it, but what about this one though? Okay, not surprised. The obsession did disarm this shit here. We're gonna get the tokens. Yep. Oh, thank you for being bad. I appreciate you. We got 4. I short-stroked it just a little bit. We're going to move this. I couldn't pick it up, so we're not moving it. We're just reset it. We got 1 generator down, and that's it. Hello there, whoever you are. Dude, I love this guy. He's just like, hey, want some free tokens? Fatality. Okay, let's take her back here. Alright, so that guy is dead on hook next. 6 stacks. I really like that trap. Seems like a goodie. Alright, there's our 2 trap cadence. Let's pick up a token really quick. Love this guy, dude. Love him. Hey, I need another token, buddy. Thanks. Did you really just heal at the hook? I'm the speed racer. Oh! Didn't even lose my play with your food stack. We'll put 1 trap on it. Hey, buddy, I could use a token. Mind, give me a refill? Appreciate you. I see scratch marks, so we're gonna go back over here. It's fine. I promise. Better drop it. Ooh, if I'd swung earlier. Time for zooming. They are getting the gens done on me, though. To be fair, they are getting the gens done at breakneck speed right now, even though we are wrecking the shit out of them. I think we're heading to Trap Town. I don't know about you two. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Double trap, dude. Dude, these insane fucking, like, insta-res immunity. She's dead on hook, though. I really want her. I'm just gonna slug her. Yeah, I think they just get the last gen done on me. Teamwork makes that dream work. Alright, that worked. You're going down now. We've got, I think, the other David. Starstruck, motherfucker. No! I'm okay with locking in 4 tokens. Actually, I'm okay with just getting the win condition. This guy's got Starstruck on him, I'm almost sure of it. Oh, I thought for sure I had that. He's gonna fake it again. He did not fake it. He's eager to go get this. Go fast? This is a good recovery, though. I'll give him that. There's my play with your food token. Cash that in for hitting it down. We're going to get the speed boost here. And at this point, I don't really care who I hit. Unless they have another, like, magic insta-heal. Okay, they made me work for it, bro. They made me work for it. I don't think they were ready for the Starstruck play. Starstruck, definitely the way to go. All right, we're going to lock in at 6 tokens. Where'd she go? Hey, you come back here. She's trying to go to a hook dead zone. See if I get her to a hook. I think we do, yeah. This is easy. Easy hook here. And then we find our last guy. See him right there. Also trying to crawl to a hook dead zone. No, 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 no. Should be one right in the middle here somewhere. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Yeah, this build kind of does it. The 2 trap cadence. Spot on.